Sheriff Chad Bianco, thank you for being here with us today. I can't help but think that less than a decade ago, you were a lieutenant on the Riverside Sheriff's Department. I guess outside of probably your people who knew you well, nobody knew you. And now you are one of the most recognized officials in all of the country.
Yeah.
Pseudo-celebrity status at this point.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard for me even to realize sometimes. And it's a little bit overwhelming. It's a little bit, sometimes it's embarrassing. It's extremely humbling. I'm very, very grateful, but it's still weird.
Yeah. And now on top of that, you're adding a run for California governor. So I know our audience, our SEBA audience, best knows you as a law enforcement official. But even aside from your current title, the run you're making for governor, your notoriety, as an introduction, can you just give us, a snippet into who's Chad Bianco, the man?
Wow, sure. Well, that is a good question because, we're all cops or mostly cops, especially if they're listening to this, the SEBA audience and your deputies and my deputies and everything else. And so that just comes natural. And then as the sheriff, you're the sheriff. And there a lot comes with that. But honestly, I think my whole career, it's just been a job to me. So I'm a dad and a husband and now a grandpa. And that is far more important to me and my daily thoughts than my job. Now, it's definitely important. I have a big responsibility, and then doing this with a governor run is obviously going to be something even bigger. But I still go home and take out the trash, and I have animals to take care of, and it's that's who I am.
Yeah,
and I think it's been like that my whole career. I obviously have friends in the department that we did things with and everything else, but the majority of my friends were my kids' friends' parents.
Yeah.
And so, a fun story about that is my best friend probably, I'd known him for like probably 7 or 8 years, maybe even. We went Christmas vacations together, ski trips. We did all kinds of things as families with the kids.
Right.
It was the parents. And so we did things together. And we were about that many years into it. And he asked me what I did for a living. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I know you're in construction or something. And I'm like, I'm a cop. And he laughs. He's no, really, what do you do? And he's like, I know you either work for someone or you have your own business, but I've never asked you what. I'm like, Tommy, I work for the sheriff's department. I'm a lieutenant in the sheriff's department. And he didn't believe me. And it was funny because I said, I've picked up your daughter for school in a cop car before. And he couldn't believe it because I just didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
And my kids didn't, it wasn't part of our lives. It was just what dad did to make money so we could do the fun things that we did on weekends and in their sports and those types of things. So I think ultimately that's all. I'm just a normal person. I'm a normal person outside of work. Then I happen to put on a uniform and go to work every day. And now I'm fortunate enough to be elected as the sheriff of Riverside. So it's but in the end, I'm just a regular guy that likes my free time. I love spending time with my wife and my kids. And I think that mentality, it's a very grounded mentality that I don't think I'm better than anyone else. In fact, I think there are lots of people that are better than me, and you just strive to be the best. And I'm very competitive. So I grew up extremely athletic, and I was blessed with in athletics, but that made me very, very, very competitive. And so I definitely have that. In the law enforcement world, I think that played well for me, that I was very proactive. Yeah. I wanted to have the most arrests. I wanted to handle the most calls, and I wanted to do it all on the same day. I had to have more DUI arrests, and I was a deputy making DUI arrests. It's like I wanted to be better than Highway Patrol.
You are an anomaly.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy. And I really got hooked up into the drug world early on in my career, and I became a DRE. Yes, in the enforcement part. Yes. I became a DRE, and so that was a big deal with the DUI stuff and the 11550s, and then finding drugs, and then I went undercover and in the lab world and taking down labs and those types of things back in the 90s. And then I really, my first promotion, I promoted into internal affairs, and I wanted to go investigator in narcotics, and I would have retired there.
Yeah.
And I went to internal affairs, and I thought my world ended. And the lieutenant at the time there he had been my supervisor before, and he knew I wrote well. And so he recruited me into the internal affairs part for my writing skills. And throughout the whole drug stuff and the interviews, and I had a reputation as a good interviewer.
Yeah. And
then the writing skills, it made it into PSB, our Professional Standards Bureau. And so that it was good for me. It certainly was career changing because I learned that there was a completely different world to law enforcement than a black and white. And the civil part and how the running part, the budget parts, all of those things that as a deputy, just a gung-ho deputy, I don't care about all that
you don't
stuff.
even think that stuff exists, right?
If I crash a car, then somebody will fix it, but give me another one. And you just don't think of those things. So that set my world a little bit different. It opened my eyes to a different world about the budget parts and the liability part, really.
Yeah. And
so that helped me as a supervisor, just how I talk to the deputies. It's like, don't do this same dumb things that I did. And I never looked at anyone. There were a lot of things that I was investigating that's like, man, I did that, but and my supervisor at one time, I'm like, hey, I can't do this investigation. I've done that before. And he's like, well, we all have. You didn't get caught. And he's like, you're not supposed to do things. And, if you do things wrong, you fix it and you make those changes and everything else. And so that's how I approach deputies. And it's like, we have to pay attention to the rules, and we can't operate outside the rules and those types of things.
I like this example because in a strange turn of events, even though this was your passion, this narcotics enforcement and all that stuff, you got this taste into accountability. And I think in law enforcement, that's what we've been now. That's kind of been our cry, our theme is like, let's bring back some accountability.
Oh, yeah.
And, even when I think of IA as a division, of course, even when I was on the department, public affairs at the time was down the hall from IA, and I would joke, like, I'm not walking that way. I won't even go that way. I won't look that way, right? But accountability is important.
Yeah.
It's important for our deputies. It's important in that capacity that you had. And now bringing accountability back to leadership in Sacramento.
Yeah. So, and all through my career, I had a reputation. I got in trouble for things. I said the wrong things at a call and someone complained. Yes. If you can imagine.
Weird.
Yes. And I've never been politically correct in my life. And so, I would say the wrong thing to a person that we were arresting or something, and they would complain, and I would get in trouble for it. But one of the things, the reputation that I got was, and from a union perspective with representation and everything else, I never believed in that. It was like, if I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble. I'll own it. And you tell the truth. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to do anything to get fired for.
Right.
So I'm just going to tell the truth. And I probably shouldn't have swore at that person, or I shouldn't have been driving that fast. But yes, I did it. And if I suffer a consequence for it, then that's okay, because I did it and I understand that I shouldn't have, and punishment or whatever.
Sword, right?
And so I got that reputation as being extremely ethical, very honest, and I didn't like. Maybe didn't like is another word. I didn't have any tolerance for people that weren't. And so even like criminals, that's really like, they're dishonest, they're thieves, they steal, they lie, and that's just something I'm absolutely against. And so at the same time, I think sometimes we have been, law enforcement in the past 50 years, our own worst enemies, in that we weren't. Good cops don't like bad cops, and we do everything we can to get rid of bad cops, but we were never vocal about it. It was almost like, let's just hide it. Let's don't talk about it because we're better than everybody else. And the reality is, people thought we were just a bunch of criminals and nothing. We weren't held accountable, but we always have been.
Yeah.
And so now I think that, especially in light of law enforcement just being looked at differently and a little bit more critical, people are more critical of us. It's more important that we tell the truth about, of course, people do bad things. We hire from the human race.
Right.
And we can't predict what someone's going to do. But if it's unethical or immoral or against the law, then we get rid of them. And a lot of times for things that everyone else does in their own private world, in the private sector, that they don't get in trouble for, but we do.
Right.
And we do hold ourselves at a different level. And I think that throughout my career, and even when it got to the point of me running for sheriff, when, deputies were trying to convince me to do it, and I was going to retire. I had a retirement date. October 23rd, 2017 was my retirement date. It was done.
How's that working out for you?
It's not working out well at all. And in the end, I think it was just a combination. When you ask who are you and that, I really am truly just a product of very good upbringing. I have a fantastic dad. I had fantastic grandparents, my grandpas, both of them. And I just learned really early on that integrity was everything.
Yeah.
And your word is everything. And you work hard, you help people, and people have to be able to trust you. And that's just how I was raised. I got in trouble for lying. I didn't get in trouble for breaking rules. I mean, I got in trouble. My dad knew I was going to do stupid things as a teenager. And it was when he asked me about them, I got in trouble if I lied. I didn't get in trouble for saying, yes, I did that. So that's, I guess, character. I guess that's what built my character.
Yeah. That
takes me into this, is everyone knew that about me.
Yeah.
And they all knew that I was all down for helping someone else. And it was never really about me. Nothing in my life is ever about me. I get joy from helping people. I don't like to ask for help. I don't like taking help, but I'll help anybody do anything. And that was my upbringing. And so really that's truly who I am, and even doing this running for sheriff, it certainly wasn't for me. We bought a home in a different state in the mountains that we absolutely love. And in the end, it was, man, I got to do this for the deputies. It wasn't for me anymore. It was, I'm doing this for the deputies, and even for the public that we serve, because I knew we were lying to them about the type of service we were even providing, and I knew it should be better. And so the only way that I could change that was to be the sheriff.
Yeah.
And so they convinced me again to run, and I did, and then the rest is history. But then that brings us to this, me deciding to do this whole governor thing. And the last 6 years of me having to fight with Sacramento and fight with lawmakers for just the craziness that is going on with the anti-public safety agenda that they have has just been overwhelming. And I mean, you're beating your head against a wall when you go up there trying to speak reason to someone and common sense. And so as I'm looking at all of the people that are lining up to run for governor, because I mean, thank God Newsom is gone, but that leaves it wide open for everybody else. And looking at all of them, we're not going to get better. It's either the same type of people or even worse. And it's all the same people that have put us in this situation in the first place. They've all been in charge of the Senate or the Assembly or years doing it, or other government. And California's broken. It's like the last thing we need is another California politician saying, jumping up on a soapbox and saying, I know what the problems are, and now I'm going to fix it, even though I put us here in the first place.
Yeah, they came through the ranks of the same machine that has us, or has the state where it's at.
Yeah.
And some people might argue it's in great shape. But
if you don't have a brain. I
do love the weather.
I've said this over and over and over again. The weather is what has caused us we have been taken advantage of by a machine in Sacramento that truly is, they have an unquenchable thirst for our money. And we're okay with it because we love it here.
Yeah.
You can't beat the weather. I have tried to go other places. I have been vacationing other places, and something may be pretty, but when you can't breathe because of the humidity, or you're sweating all day long, or it's freezing and it's just too cold to go outside, California is the only place in the country that isn't like that.
Yeah.
And I think that the desire for people to stay here for the beach or the ocean or farming or just the year-round perfect weather. I mean, we have our skiing. If you want to drive up there and go skiing, then go do it. We have more to offer than any state. And so I think that's what keeps people here. And then that California dream that supposedly existed at one time. But we just keep getting screwed over and over and over again. And it's that machine in Sacramento that keeps doing it to us. And I think things are changing. I think in the last couple of years, it probably started around 2020, the whole lockdowns and COVID and all of that stuff. And then the government overreach. I think that's when people really started standing up saying, wait, when did that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, when was that law passed?
Well, that's when you saw you couldn't even get a U-Haul truck, right? Because there's so many leaving the state, going to Texas, and we saw big companies leaving. We saw big names leaving, just saying, this place isn't for me anymore.
And took all of their jobs with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that tax revenue and everything else. And when all of that leaves, then they have to get more from us that are staying. And I think that's really in the end, that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
If this is absolutely nothing about San Bernardino, but I have the perfect job. My job is perfect. My employees are perfect. My county is perfect. Even my county government. There is nothing bad that I feel toward anything that I'm currently doing.
Yeah, you're not leaving this for any reason that has to do with Riverside County.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And it's almost like, why would I do this?
Yes.
Why would I give this up for this mess? And in the end, it really all went back to that's why I do things. I do things for other people. And it was very weird. Selfishly, I will admit, now that it's all over and it's official and I'm running and we're doing this and we're all in, I convinced myself to not. And it was just like, man, everything is just too perfect. And, I want to leave, and let's take our kids and grandkids and go somewhere else. There's so many people leaving for better lives.
Yeah.
And I was very, very fortunate to be able to go to the inauguration. And we were sitting in the hotel room. It was too cold, so that got canceled and it went inside in private, but it was shown on TV. And so we're in the hotel lobby, and the hotel was passing around champagne for the speech and everything. And so everybody's in a good mood, and we listened to his speech. And I had already told my wife that I wasn't doing it. I had told the team that I wasn't doing it. And I listened to his speech, and sometimes now I'm like, man, I wish he would have gone off script, because when he goes off script, he says it wouldn't have had the same impact. But because he stayed on script, I listened to every single word of it. And as he's talking and as I'm listening and as I'm, people may not like him, but his policies are absolutely amazing for the country. He's doing it for us. He has the perfect life. He has the perfect family, business, everything about what he has personally, he's giving up to try and make our lives better.
So that parallel for...
Yes. And I truly did. I was sitting there, and then I started feeling guilty. And it was like, okay, never in my life have I ever made a decision for myself. It's always been for someone else. Sometimes my wife, my kids, my friends, or something like that. But it's always a decision for someone else. And that's what makes me happy. And then I'm starting to think, okay, so I did this for me. This was a selfish decision for me and my wife. But this was to avoid this headache, avoid this pain, and just not do it and stay where I'm happy. And I'm like, I'll regret this forever. And so the speech was finished, and everybody's cheering and everything else. And Denise looked at me and she's like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And she's like, "Something's the matter.
She's like,
what's
yeah,
the matter?"
right.
I know.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm going to do it." And she's like, "Oh."
She's like, "Give me back that champagne."
I know. That's really what it was. And so that's why I did it. And it's certainly not for me. And I can't say that I don't want to be the governor, because I truly do, because that's the only way we're going to fix this state.
Yeah.
It's not going to be with the same people. It's not going to be with the people that are lining up, or even the ones talking about lining up to do it, because they all in their own little world somehow played a part in us getting here, or they've had the opportunity to stand up and do the right thing and never have. So now all of a sudden they're going to jump up and do it. And I don't really necessarily like or admire those type of people either. So
yeah, when I hear you say, I don't necessarily want to be the governor, to me, there's a stark difference between a career politician who the governorship is a title. It's a stepping stone that they want to reach based on their career trajectory, that political career trajectory. And at least what I'm hearing you say is that governor for you is a position of leadership, and leadership is something you've always been drawn towards.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I've never, no one's ever presented it to me like that, and I've never thought of it like that, but I've said that before.
Yeah.
In that how we elect our elected officials. Law enforcement's a little bit different because truly, I was elected. Number one, the department had to be behind me. If the department wasn't behind me, I would have never been elected. That's the number one thing people ask in especially sheriff's elections are, who do the deputies want?
You have a long history not long, but the history with the running for sheriff and now for governor. These are monumental tasks you've taken on. You've been the underdog.
Yeah.
You were the underdog for sheriff, but now you're going for governor. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but when the people are behind you.
Yes. And that's a leadership position.
Yes.
And in politics, we don't look at we don't elect leaders. We've always looked for, they were a mayor before, or, they were elected official before, so they have experience, or, who knows, good hair, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But it's certainly
name recognition.
Right. Does the name sound good with governor? And does it, you have a funny name, so no, I would never vote for that person. There are weird things that voters pick, but leadership is not one of them. And I think we've come to a point where it's gotten so bad in California that Californians are starving. We are looking at government and we're starving for someone to believe. Yeah. We're starving for someone to say, I'm actually going to do something that benefits Californians instead of myself. And we haven't had that for so long that we're going to almost force it. And I think we're at that point. I think that's what the appeal of me in this race has.
Yeah.
Because it's 32 years of, I don't want to say impeccable, but irrefutable leadership and service. I don't have to tell you that I'm going to do something for you because I've been doing it for 32 years. That's all I do.
Service to the community.
Yeah. And we're just taking it to a bigger scale. It's going from a 2.5 million county to 40 million state. And it's just a bigger scene. We're going to a bigger stage. That's all. But the mentality is the same. I'm not doing this for a Democrat. I'm not doing this for any Republican. Yeah. It's Californians. Californians have been completely neglected because of politics. And as I travel the state last year doing Prop 36 stuff, Californians we're amazing. We're resilient. We're hardworking. We're actually nice, polite.
Yes.
And everything that we have here has been ruined by government. The taxes, the regulations, the government overreach, all of the things that are bad are not bad because of a person. They're not bad because a business owner is a bad person, or these people in this neighborhood are bad people. That's not what's wrong with California. It's the government has absolutely screwed us over and over and over again, and now it's driving us away. So our businesses are leaving, our income is leaving, and the cost. And when all of that happens, then the cost of living goes up. We're the worst in the country, the greatest state in the country, and we're the worst at everything. And it's not our fault; it's government's fault. And that, I think, what my appeal is to people is I've already done this before. They already know what they're getting with me. I don't lie. I don't cheat. You can't buy me. You get money. I'm sure my wife and my kids wish I cared about money, but I don't. And as long as I can pay the bills every month, that's all it is to me. I'm good. And you can't buy me. I'm not going to be. My integrity is not for sale. The special interests and everything else.
You won't be in someone's pocket. Or,
Exactly. It's Californians. That's who I'm doing this for, and that hasn't happened for a very, very, very long time, if ever. And I think it's like, well, that could be a pretty good option. And I think that's what the appeal is right now.
Yeah. So I want to get into, because when I was thinking of the questions I was going to ask you, and a lot of the speeches I've heard you say, I was like, okay, let's talk about him as governor, though, because we know you as a sheriff, as a cop, as a cop's cop, as a man of faith and a man of passion and integrity and service. And maybe as we go on, we'll get more into that. But I really want people to see who you would be as governor, because that's who we haven't seen yet. One of the things I heard you talk about, which is very enticing when you talk about highest cost of living, is you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you have proposed to eliminate state income tax.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a big thing behind that. So
Yes.
I am a very, very, very fiscally conservative person. I'm a Republican, so I guess you could say I'm conservative anyway, but I am fiscally conservative. I do not like paying taxes, and not because I don't think we should pay taxes.
Right.
It's I don't like where you spend it, and I don't like where you waste it, and I don't like that all of the money that I am paying is just for nothing because no one is getting a benefit from it. That's what I believe.
And you're still in potholes, and the freeways are still, the infrastructure is still.
It's horrible. So in the last 8 or 9 years or something like that, we have doubled our state budget. Our state budget has doubled. Tell me you've gotten twice the amount of service from our state. Our roads are horrible. They're trashy. They're full of potholes. It's hodgepodge. I mean, it's the traffic is absolutely ridiculous. Now we have no water. We have no electricity.
I was just going to say, after decades of drought education, I can remember learning it in elementary school, and now it's raining every winter a lot.
Yeah,
and we have no place to put it.
And we're learning it's all been a fraud. It's just we've never had a water problem. We've had a water management problem. It's been a government problem. And we just go along with it because we love being here.
Yeah.
And now in the summertime, we can't even have our power on. They shut our power off because they don't have enough power for the air conditioning. And in the wintertime, oh my gosh, the wind's over 2 miles an hour, so nobody gets power. And we have no electricity, we have no water, it's horrible. It's horrible. Our lives here have been made bad by government regulation and fees and taxes and everything else, and we're not getting a benefit.
Yeah,
it's
when
like
you
a
pay
money
25,
laundering.
35, and even the higher tiers are paying even a higher percentage of their income to something where, and you're making the argument we're not getting our money's worth.
Right. Between federal and state together, there are many of the people that are actually even paying their taxes are paying over 50%. You add all of the taxes in, it's like 65% of your money that you make is going to some form of tax. It should be embarrassing for the government to be taking that much of workers' money. It should be embarrassing, but it's not. They just don't even think about it. So that mentality of not liking to pay my taxes, even when I came into being the sheriff, I am the biggest spender of taxpayer money in Riverside County. Law enforcement budget is the biggest budget that comes out of the general fund, the taxpayer money that we have. So with that, I do everything we can to make sure that there's no waste. If we can do something more efficient, then we do it. If we can eliminate something, then you eliminate it. You don't keep it going forever because it's always been there.
Yeah.
And so we have extremely streamlined. We have improved technology. We have made it cheaper to run our organization, and I'm just going to take that to the state level. So to look and say that in the last 10 years, we've doubled our state budget, we haven't gotten anything for it. And now we're learning that it is just a complete money pit in Sacramento, that they have no idea where any of this money is going. Billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like just the homeless, $24 billion. That's 10% of our income, of the state's tax money. $24 billion. The budget's roughly $240 billion.
Yeah.
So So in round numbers, think of this: if you made $100,000, if you were missing $24,000, do you think you'd know where that went?
You would hope so.
You would know exactly where that meant. I tell this all the time.
Unless you're unconscious or stuck in a ditch somewhere, you should know
absolutely.
where it went, right?
I know every $1.50 that's spent on Amazon while I'm away that gets delivered to our house. You account for all of your money, and the state and all of our politicians and our governor I have no idea where a quarter of our budget went. We have no idea. That's embarrassing. Honestly, in our world, it's criminal. It's criminal. It's embezzlement. It's laundering. Someone should be punished for what they're doing with our tax money. So my position is there are 10 states in the country that do not have a state income tax. Don't tell me that they're better than us. Don't tell me that they're somehow worse off than us, because all of those 10 states are stealing all of our residents. These businesses are going to Texas, to Florida, to Tennessee, to, I mean, even other states, to Utah, to Arizona, to Idaho, that have far less taxes.
Yeah.
Most of them have zero taxes. And that's where all the people are moving. That's where all the businesses are moving. So if you make it enticing for businesses to bring all of their 100 jobs or their 10,000 jobs into California, then we're all benefiting from that. The business benefits, the workers benefit from it, and they've already proven that they can do it without income tax. So we will take, and they all do it different. There's 10 different ways that these states manage that. Number one is you can't have government waste. And so there's going to be a lot of people that do not want me winning this election, because a lot of their livelihood is government waste and fraud and money, and the homeless issue is a complete example. That there are nonprofits that are laundering money to go back into politics or to line someone else's pocket. It certainly isn't going toward homeless like it's supposed to be going. And so those are the things that we have to eliminate. We have to have the mentality of government that we have to streamline it, we have to trim it, we have to make it efficient, and our priorities have to be in order. So for government, you just have to have priorities, and ours have been whacked.
I want to drill down a little bit, because I know this could be an area where both sides of the aisle will tell you it's impossible.
Yeah.
Which is like, sometimes it's like, go ahead, tell me I can't do it, right?
That's exactly right. And I say this too. So, and they want to know, you need to show me exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is my answer. I have 32 years. And whether you like cops or not, the reality is every single one of us are problem solvers.
Yeah.
We don't follow a set of directions. We don't ask for directions. You answer a 911 call, which is an emergency. You know nothing about it. You show up, you figure something out within minutes, and then you solve it for those parties. Somebody might have to go to jail. Somebody might not.
Right.
You might just be able to separate them and fix it, but you are fixing other people's problems, and you do it within a short period of time just so you can move on to the next one. So to ask me how I'm going to do it, it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know how extensive the problem is yet. But as soon as I go to do it, I'll tell you how I fixed it. When it's done, you'll see exactly what we did. And I had a conversation the other day. I was on the phone with a politician who is telling me I can't do it, and I don't know what I'm doing and everything else. And what's your plan? You need to tell me how you're going to make this happen. And I'm in my car, so the radio's going, and a call came out of a man holding his wife hostage with a gun. And so I said, okay, I'm close to that. So I'm going to that now. So when it's time to hang up, I'm just going to hang up. And he's like, okay. And he heard it. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how are you? And he said, how are you going to solve that? How are you going to fix that? I'm like, well, I don't know, but when I get there, we will. I said, I'll tell you after. We're either going to talk him out, we're going to shoot him, or he's going to give up. But we're going to fix it for her. We're going to rescue her.
Yeah.
We just don't know how it's going to be, how we're going to do it, because we don't follow a chain of events. And so in the end, and this is okay, there are leaders and there are followers. And we absolutely must have both in the world. And leaders just get things done. Followers have to have a playbook of how they're going to do it. They're just following direction. They're following things. And it's okay if you're a follower, because we have to have followers. We have to have those people to do the work.
Yeah.
But you also have to have leaders that have not only the ability to think outside the box, but then make sure that we keep working at that to fix it. And so and I say this all the time with a supervisor. So we promote a bunch of people and they're supervisors, and I tell them, make a decision. And when you're going through a process, if the decision you made was wrong, well, then hurry and make another one to fix it. You've got to fix that to get back. We've got to get through the end good.
Yeah.
How you get there doesn't matter. You can zigzag if you want, or you can do a straight line. If you're zigzagging, you're just changing directions from things that aren't working.
Yeah.
But that's how you have to operate. And so with this whole eliminating taxes, oh yes, I am going to do it. I will be the governor for 8 years, 2 terms, and by the end of that second term, I will have it done. And the only reason I'm not saying the first term is because Mississippi, who just did it. Now you tell me we're not better than Mississippi. California is better than Mississippi. If they can do it, we can do it.
Right.
And I know it took them 5 years.
It's a big apple cart to overturn.
It is. So I'm not going to say, oh, we're doing it in the first year, because I don't even know, in order to get to where we're going to go to transition out of taking your taxpayer money, we've got to eliminate the waste first.
Yeah.
And we have to see exactly how much that is. And there are certain things that we absolutely need. We need public safety money. We need fire money. Fire and cop together, those types of things. We need infrastructure. We need schools, and we need to somehow get a hold on medical. And when those are all done, that's the responsibility of government. If there's money left over, either give it back to the people that gave it to you, or if the people are good with it, then we can do pet projects. Then we can do the social aspect of government and things like that. But that's not the role of government. Yeah. But if we're all willing to, and there's still money left over, then we can do those things. We can offer free medical care to people, or to elders, or something like that. But we have to take care of the priorities first. So there isn't going to be a roadmap of how we're going to do it. We're going to eliminate the waste. Yeah. We're going to see, actually, we don't even know how much state government costs, because we've never cared.
Essentials, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We've never cared how much money we really need. We just keep getting more and then wasting the money that we have. And there's never an accountability of where that money's going. And that's what I'm going to bring there. I don't want to spend your taxpayer money, so we're going to eliminate all the ways that we spend it, that we can. And then we're going to make sure we give you your income money back, because I know that I could use my whole check and spend it better than Newsom is spending my money right now.
Well, I know it's the perfect storm for people to leave California, because our houses are worth so much. You could sell, if you're lucky enough to own a home in California, which I know our younger generations are not, now. Right? Yeah. But if you got in at the right time, you can sell that home for 5 times what you paid for it, if not more, maybe a little less. You could go buy a home outright in Texas, get another job. You don't pay state income. I mean, I'm not trying to,
we don't want to convince people to leave.
I know. I'm sorry. They have already, I think the ones that are already enticed, I'm a lifelong Californian, and some of my best friends and I that are just as stubborn as me, and it sounds like just as stubborn as you. It's like, yeah, I'd love to. Sounds great, but like, this is my home.
Yes.
This is my home. This is my home, and how it was, or at least how I remember it being as a kid, is not how it is now. Yeah. And I want to make it better, not just leave.
Right. There's some flags out there for this whole campaign, and one of the slogans on the bottom is, "This is my home. I shouldn't have to leave." And that's where we are here. I mean, I have so many friends that are either leaving, that left already, they're in the process of leaving, or they're considering leaving. Yeah. And why? It's like you lived here and you grew up here, or you moved here for a reason, and that reason has just been taken away. We just need to put the reason back. Yeah. We have to make people want to be here for their businesses or their jobs or their kids. And all of the people that left, I want to bring them back. All of the businesses that left, I want them to be able to say,
businesses, yes.
I'm going back to California, because throughout this process, I've talked to so many people, and especially in the podcast world, that are big, huge podcasts that they have going on now from Texas and Florida and these different states, but they lived in California. Yeah. They left. Yeah. And they all want to come back. And every single one of them tell me, if you could give me a reason to come back, I would be back in a heartbeat. I mean, we don't like the weather where we live, or we don't like the bugs, or we don't like the snow. We want
Texas
to be back.
Texas is really humid in the summer, is what I hear.
Yes, and they want to be back in California, but the business environment, the work environment, the school environment has pushed them all away. The cost of living, we're the highest in the country, and our cost of living here, what people don't realize is it's all government made. I mean, I didn't make the cost of living. The business doesn't make the cost of living. The businesses are just passing on costs that they accrue for
having to do business here.
Exactly. And to do business here, it's not government friendly. I mean, it's not business friendly. Yeah. There's no business owner that is going to say, "Oh, I love doing business in California." They're not. They all say that California makes it almost impossible. And we have to take that away. And it's regulation. That's a stroke of a pen. On day one, those regulations will be taken away. The other things are going to take longer because we have to change laws. We have to repeal laws. We have to, change tax codes and things like that are going to take negotiation and going to take that work to make it better for all of us. But there are so many things that can be done with just a stroke of a pen that people in that office have chosen not to.
Yeah.
And I have a list. I have a running list of day one items. And it's long, unfortunately, but we have to do it. I don't want to move. I don't want my kids to move. Yeah. My California dream was I moved here for that dream. I wasn't born here. I moved here when I was 22, and so I've been here 35 years now. But I achieved my California dream. It was from a small town in Utah looking at California. I mean, I just remember listening to the radio, and we could get a radio station from, that far. And it was just everything about California just appealed to me. And I came here to make it better. I came here to find a good life, and I found it. But my kids now are looking at other states to where they can go find their good life because they can't buy a home here.
Yeah.
The cost of gas, it's like they pay more in gas driving to work, and it's why? Yeah. It's very frustrating that it's government made, and nobody in Sacramento is saying, I'm going to admit it, and we're going to fix it.
I know. Not that I want to think about being a grandma, but I do have a 25-year-old, almost 26-year-old, and he left the state for college, and he hasn't come back. Now, he chose a more expensive state to live in, which is New York, but he's also 25, so that's fun.
He'll learn.
But I just think of how am I going to do this if all my kids are in different parts of the country, And because even my little ones, 15 and 16, they know that, my daughter, she wants to go to Texas. She already knows, this is, and not that she knows so much per se, but it's going to be really, really hard to make a home, buy a home, raise a family here at the rate that we're going.
Well, that's what I'm doing it for, is for her. That's what I'm doing. That's why I am doing this. That's why I'm giving up my perfect little life that I have.
Yeah.
And trying to do this, that bringing the hate that is coming to me, and my family, and just if you've never run for office, you have no idea how horrible it is.
I don't
and now I'm doing it
know.
on this stage. It's we know what to expect. We know how bad it's going to be, and it'll probably be worse than we even think.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it for her.
Yeah.
And for my grandkids. I look at my grandkids, they're 4. I had 2 beautiful little girls and a boy. One boy is in another state already. So I want to bring that family back into California. But I'm looking at them, and it's like, what do they have to look forward to? I mean, I'm going to have to pay for private school because my kids they can't afford it. But at the same time, they know that as soon as she gets into real school, they're going to have to make the decision of leaving, going to a different state, and they're looking. That's the sad thing. Yeah. That's the thing that scares me. Yeah. And so I know that there are millions and millions of others in California that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to. I want them to be proud of their schools. I want them to be okay with their kid going to school all day instead of at home, and a parent being secure in the belief that their kids are not going to be psychologically attacked while they're at school and turned into something that they shouldn't be. And it's a mess here. And we have to fix it for those kids, because that California dream that I came here for, my kids don't have it. It's a nightmare for them. And they're looking for a Tennessee dream or an Idaho dream or a Texas dream. And they're pulling all of our best and brightest are going to these other places to make it for themselves.
I want to key in on something that you said a little bit ago when we were talking about the state income tax, which I'm sorry, I just can't get over. I'd love to keep.
We're going to do it.
But you said something about negotiations. So I want to ask you, because you're very vocal. I mean, this podcast, everything that you say, very vocal about the mistakes that people have made. But when you're elected, when you're elected, you will be the leader then. Mm-hmm. And so how is it going to need to change from an adversarial relationship to a team relationship? And how do you think you're going to broker kind of those negotiations?
Yeah. So it's basically, it's a relationship. You said the word. I mean, if you're a believer, then you know that we were not meant to be in isolation. We're meant to be amongst each other. We're meant to have relationships. That everything about us, how we are happy, is in a relationship aspect. You have whether it's a God relationship or that church relationship or community relationship. That's how we function, and that's how we function well. So with that, it's not about fighting. The problem with our entire country is that we fight over everything. And we've labeled it as your identity of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican.
Yeah.
And it's extremely sad that it's come to that, because as I look at it, I mean, people are saying like 70%, 80%. I think it's higher. I think 90% of the general public all believes and feels the same way. And that other 10%, maybe 20 at the absolute most, 10% over on this side and 10% over on this side are completely ruining it for the 90% and the 80% that we all just want a better life.
Yeah.
We want to be left alone, stay out of my business, let me do things within. I mean, we're a civilized society. We adhere to laws and we do all those good things.
Yeah.
But if I want to work hard to make more money, then I should be able to work hard to make more money. If I'm happy with making what I make, then that's it. I'm good. Don't force me to work harder, or don't force me to make less, but this is what's good for me. And that's how we became America. That's what built this country into how great it was. And we just have to get it back. Yeah. And so that's truly all I'm taking is that relationship aspect. And I am not running this election to win this election for Republicans. I'm not running to win it for Democrats. It's for Californians. I think that no one is representing Californians. And that's what I want. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. If you want something better in California, I'm going to be the only one on the ballot that is not only promising that, but I have absolutely nothing in my 32 years of promising that says anything otherwise. I'm the only one that's going to have a resume of doing everything right for someone else. And I mean, I may have made missteps along the way, but then that's another thing of me is I'm not afraid to admit it. Yeah. So in this whole tax thing, say, as I eliminate something, right, and then 6 months later, it's like, oh crap, maybe we shouldn't have eliminated that part of it. We'll bring it back, and I'll admit it, and I'll say, hey, that was an unattended consequence that we did. And now we're bringing this tiny part back. And I think that where we are, especially in government, the egos and the narcissism and the just the hatred for other people, especially other parties, is that there's no admitting wrong. There is blame everybody else for the wrong, no matter what. And you just keep going down your path.
I would even argue it goes to something just a little more primal, maybe a little less malicious, and it's just career survival, right? If that is your career, and assembly members have 2-year terms, Senate 4-year terms, governor, like everybody's constantly allegedly could get fired in a couple years, right? I mean, we see it doesn't happen, unfortunately, but I feel like they don't want to admit they were wrong because they think it's going to be used against them, right? Yeah. Rather than seeing, again, that's politics versus leadership. I think the best leaders can admit when they're wrong.
Exactly.
And then say, yeah.
I mean, if you really study leadership, that is a part of it.
Correct.
I mean, you can't be so steadfast down a path and not admit that there's intricacies that go along outside that you have to deal with, and you may have to alter your path. You can't just go headstrong into something and think that you have all the answers and surround yourself. That's another reason that's happening now is in one party rule. They're in an echo chamber. It's like they listen to no one, and they certainly aren't listening to constituents. They're just listening to each other that stroke each other's egos and tell each other what a great job you're doing, and I'll do this for you if you do this for me, and we suffer the consequences for that.
Well, and I would argue the ones that I think, yes, echo chamber for sure. I'm not disagreeing, but I would even argue because, supermajority 66%. I mean, I think it's above that. Yeah. But in the conversations I've had, not only are they an echo chamber, the ones that are more moderate, the ones that are, like you said, that 80, 70, 90%, they're in that central, they're being held hostage.
Yeah.
they're being forced to hear this echo.
Yes, and I don't want to talk disparagingly about them.
Right.
But I do anyway.
Okay.
Because they could stand up for what's right, and they're choosing not to. They're picking themselves over doing what's right. So they're not, and that's leadership. To me, that's leadership 101. If you're going to be a respected leader, especially of men and women, you absolutely must care more about them than you care about yourself. You have to sacrifice yourself. You have to make, serious sacrifices sometimes, whether it's politically or personally or monetarily or whatever the case may be. There are consequences to caring more about other people. And if you're a selfish person, you're not a leader, and you can't be in those leadership roles. So while 10% of our government is truly what's leading it, that's way far left.
Yeah.
The super far left is what is destroying California. But the other part of that super majority are the ones that are just going along with it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a little bit different. So, you guys have always had someone in Sacramento, a legislative person from the department, but we never have. And so several years ago, I put an employee up there, and we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And because I'm so vocal, and because I fight them, and I get on the news up there, and I tell them.
You get on the news everywhere.
and I tell court of public opinion. Public opinion means a lot. And what's happened is they've been able to do this in a silo in the dark with no one knowing. Like Prop 47. Last year, voting for Prop 36, and people are like, well, oh my gosh, Prop 47, that's horrible. When was that passed? It's like a decade ago.
Yeah, you
and
probably
they
voted
just
for
don't
it.
know. Yeah.
Because it said safe schools and
safe schools and safe streets.
So of course I want that.
Yes. So when things are brought to light and you're exposed for doing the wrong thing, then it hurts their feelings. And so I'm learning now that they're coming to me in private, or to Julio, who's up there, and they'll say, hey, can you make sure this sounds good to your sheriff so he doesn't oppose it? And do you want to offer changes? And can we work on amendments and things like that? So I know there are good people there.
Yes.
They just don't have the strength to stand up for what's right. And so I kind of dodged this a whole lot, or just went around it. But how am I going to do that? It's just leadership. So the funny thing, what everyone in the rest of the state looks at us at the Inland Empire, at San Bernardino and Riverside, it's like, oh yeah, Republican. We're Democrat. We're predominantly Democrat.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the makeup is of your board, but I'm a 4-1 Democrat board.
Oh, we're a 4-1, the opposite way. But I feel like we're so in the middle. That's truly those are non-party positions anyways, technically, right?
But the reality is that it's not.
Yes.
And that's what I say to the rest of the state is, we're predominantly Democrat, and my board is Democrat, but we don't care.
Yeah.
They don't hold it against me that I'm a very outspoken conservative Republican, and I don't hold it against them that they're a very liberal or Democrat, because when we come together, we're making decisions. They know that I'm going to out them if they don't, and they know that they're going to hold something against me if I don't bend and if I don't agree. And where we've come to in Riverside County, with whether it's some of my city councils from our contract cities, or even the board, is if we don't agree, then we just don't do it. Otherwise, they convince me of some, and I'll agree. It's like, okay. I'm not going to die on that hill.
Yeah.
It's not important. I'll go along with that. Or when I go and I'm very passionate about something, I'm like, look, you guys need to work with me on this, because this is what has to happen. And they don't agree, but they know that I'm being honest with them. They know that I wouldn't lie to them, and they know that eventually I'm going to be held accountable if I do something wrong, or if it's not true. And so that relationship that we have to do something for Riverside County residents instead of our own personal beliefs or parties, that's where we are there. And I'll do the same thing in Sacramento. I can't go in and say Democrats are all evil and you're not getting anything. It's
because that's your whole team.
Exactly.
Not all of it, but big part of it.
A huge part of it. So it's basically going to be, we're going to have to work together to make sure that we fix all these things that are broken. It's okay that you didn't play a part in it. You didn't try and fix it then, but now we're going to fix it. You can make history by fixing California.
Yeah.
And that's how it's got to be. In the end, I don't have to sign one single bill. I could, and it will be more along the lines of, this is our agenda. Anything outside that agenda is not getting passed. I mean, do we even know how many, what do we have, like 500,000 laws on the books already?
And on average, and I tell people this because, my friends, family, they know I go to Sacramento on a regular basis, going again on Saturday, which crept up on me. But at least 2,000 bills are introduced every legislative cycle.
Every
year. With the penal code this big, with the health and safety code this big, it's crazy to think that that's a realistic number of laws we need to be added. Now, not that many are passed. Yeah. But
it doesn't matter. They're trying.
Yes.
It's like, you can't tell me that in today's civilized society, we need 2,000 new laws.
I think this legislative cycle, when I was last up there, somebody had said there was 2,400 this time introduced.
Yeah.
2,400.
And I've said, I don't know if I would do this. I don't know how exactly what I'm going to say and what that agenda is going to be. But it's almost like, if you want something passed, you better change something else. So for every bill you want passed, it better come with something else being fixed. So if you want AB whatever passed, then you get to repeal SB 54. And if you don't repeal SB 54, there ain't nothing else getting signed. And that's going to be, that's how you make it work. It's a give and take. It's like, I'll work with you. We'll do some of these things, but you're also going to admit that there's some major unintended, they're either intended consequences, or to be on the safe side for them, I'll give them the out and say it was an unintended consequence. But we have to address those and we have to fix them. So the power of veto is real. And public opinion is everything. And that's what we're finding, is when they're exposed, those little shady things and those weird things, like you've got a bill now, and I'm gonna make a big deal out of it probably tomorrow, is the human trafficking. Mm-hmm. Who in their right mind thinks it's okay to sex traffic another human being? And the Democrats right now are fighting over this sex trafficking bill because they want 16 and 17-year-olds exempted. So they want it to be okay. It's 15 and under. It's okay to sex traffic a 16 and 17-year-old. It's disgusting, the mentality that they have, and that they're doing it in darkness. The media is not telling the rest of us that those are the arguments that they're having, and those are the discussions that they're having, that they won't pass this anti-sex trafficking bill because they want to exempt 16 and 17-year-olds.
So, I'm sorry, because this is like news to me, and of course I'm a mom, so like all these visceral things are happening for me right now. But because I don't know the details of all this, what I'm hearing you say is that they would like to protect, they're putting an age limit on who they protect.
Yes.
And the argument is that it's 15 and under, and 16 and 17
instead
are too
of 18
old.
and under. Yeah. Instead of a minor.
Yeah, I thought there was already a delineation on what kids are and kids and adults.
There is. And so for me, so you asked me, who is Chad Bianco and everything else. Number one, I am a dad. And I am a dad of a daughter. Not that it matters, because I care just as much about my sons, and there's sex trafficking of males and everything else. Who on this planet, other than some sick and twisted individual, thinks that it's okay for adults to be able to sex traffic a 16-year-old girl? It is astonishing to me that our government, the people running our government right now, are having that issue over 16 and 17-year-olds, when as a human, in our world, we're protectors. Yeah. We protect everyone. And for me, I have a weakness for kids. Kids can't protect themselves. That's why adults are supposed to protect them, and somewhat the elderly too. And then as a man, I feel like I'm overprotective of women. And so you can call me a sexist, whatever it is, but I just feel that that is my responsibility as a man. Protect other people.
Yeah.
And you protect kids and you protect women and you protect those that can't protect themselves. And we have a government trying to fight that. And that's why I have to be the governor, because as this argument is going on behind closed doors, where is our failed governor? He's a dad. He's got beautiful daughters. Where is that dad as the leader of this state going in there saying, what in the hell are you guys doing?
Well, he's on somebody
Protect
else's
our
podcast,
kids. Yeah.
a bigger one, because
Yes.
he's done with California already.
Yeah. So those are the crazy things that are happening in our government, that are happening in silos behind closed doors that nobody hears about. And I'm letting people know about them.
Yeah.
And even as the governor, I'll do the same thing. It's like, I'm not afraid of the press. I'm not afraid of standing in front of them and answering every question that you have for me. I'll answer you. You might not like my answer, but I'm going to give you a truthful answer. And the people that are obstructing us from making the state better, I will tell everybody who those people are. And that's why they aren't going to like me. I mean, somebody the other day asked me, we were talking about homelessness and there's a homelessness bill, anti-homelessness. And basically the new one that's up there is it's going to make it illegal for any law enforcement to do any type of law enforcement against the homeless.
Chief Goodman and I were talking about this as well. And we couldn't get into the nuances of it because it's almost that like.
Yes. But you look and I told them, I'm like, you want to know who's benefiting from this industrial homeless complex that we have, this homelessness industrial complex, this money laundering scheme? All of those people in favor of that bill. And all of those people in favor of that bill, half of them have already come out against me. And it's like, this is how we're going to identify the evilness in California from the ones that are trying to make California better. Because that bill, looking at all of those nonprofits and they're all making millions. They're the ones, that's where all the money laundering's going. It's going to their organizations that then gets filtered out to who knows where, whether it's politics or their own little slush funds or whatever the case may be. But they don't want homelessness fixed. You can't fix homelessness because that's going to dry up our money. And that's what this state needs. Not only a fiscally conservative person going in there to stop all the waste, but to make it even better, put a cop in there that thinks that people should be held accountable for criminal activity. And we'll make an example of one. And then all of a sudden the rest will say, oh crap, I guess we can't launder money anymore because they just arrested them. They're going to prison. So it's not hard. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to efficiently run government that's supposed to be run for the people.
Yeah.
You just have to go in there with the mentality of doing what's right and doing what's ethical and honest for other people.
I think even if you take away, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying even if you take a step away from maybe money laundering or whatever, but just not the bifurcation, but shotgunning money out to different nonprofits, right? Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're doing the right things. But we run
a lot of them are.
And a lot of them are,
Yeah.
right? So we run nonprofits here. But I'm going to tell you, I know this for a fact because I know Bill Young. So the SEBA charities runs very differently than the RSA charities or the Relief Foundation. And that's not to say theirs is better or ours is, but different, right? So when I think of a problem like homelessness, I think there's got to be a strategy, right? We're cops. We have ops plans. We have strategies. So there's got to be, everybody has to be on the same page, same sheet of music. So it kind of makes sense if you're just shotgunning money to all these different charities and there's no plan that each of them has to adhere to, then of course there's going to be a lot of you're not going to come to a single solution.
No, never. And right now there is not a centralized location for that money for homeless with an identified goal, with an identified anything. It's shotgun. It's there all over the place. Oh, homeless, boom, throw $1 million. Oh, another homeless, you get $5 million.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in one of the places that we like. You're in downtown LA. You get $10 million.
Yeah.
And no one follows up. No one really because it's not centralized. There's not a centralized dashboard of where the money's going, who's getting it, and what results you're getting. Taking away homeless, it's like, they don't even know how many homeless there are in the state because there's not a central depository of information from all of these states or from all the cities. Then you have Los Angeles, who's now completely lying about their homeless because it's election season. So she's saying that she's doing such a great job lowering their homeless, as you just have to watch the news when they go downtown and show the tent encampments.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the honesty, just the dishonesty for politics. We've become accustomed to politicians lying to us to the point where it's acceptable.
Like we almost forgive it. Like, oh, that's just
They're
what they do.
politicians.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, like expecting a politician to tell you the truth is like expecting the tooth fairy to, leave you $1 million under your pillow.
Exactly.
So if you get 5, you're happy, right?
Exactly.
You're like, oh, you came through on a couple things you said. And not all, because well, look, your position is elected, right? Our sheriff's position is elected. There are a lot of people that run for office. I guess I always think of elected officials and then I think of politicians, and politicians are the ones that.
And I have to say that all the time. And as all of us sheriffs, when we meet all the time, none of us consider ourselves politicians.
Right.
We actually probably don't like politicians.
Right.
Politicians has a negative
connotation.
Stigma. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And so, but we're still an elected official. I mean, we still had to be elected, but we're certainly not politicians. Someone would say, well, the far left says, they would label me as a right-wing extremist politician, whatever it is. But nobody else would. I don't make political decisions. I make right and wrong decisions, and I make law decisions. And that's what we do is we're providing you a public safety service. And if you don't like the way I do it, then you don't have to vote for me next time. But the difference in the politician world is if Riverside County all of a sudden changes and says, we don't want criminals going to jail anymore. We don't want you fighting crime. We don't want you chasing criminals. We don't want all of that stuff. I'm not going to say, okay, let me change. I'm not changing. That just means I can't be your sheriff anymore. You're going to have to put someone else in.
Yeah.
The politician would change and say, oh, let me bend for you, or let me change for you so I can, because I want to keep my job and I want to keep this position. That's not why I'm doing it. I believe of a direction we should be going that's better, that I think I have a good idea. And I believe that the majority of the county voted for that. They believed me too. And as my elections keep going on, that percentages is getting higher and higher because I'm proving that I'm doing what's best for the community. And that's the difference between a politician. I certainly have my detractors. They're very loud. My detractors are very small compared to the people that support me, but they are 10 times louder than the people that support me. I'm not going to bend to them and bend to their desires or their wishes against my better judgment just to get them to be quiet. And I think that's the difference in a politician and an elected official is a politician sways whichever the wind blows and whichever's safe for them.
Yeah.
But in a law enforcement world, I didn't finish this thought a long time ago. We're leaders. We're leaders of the organization. The organization is not going to get behind you if they don't look at you as a leader that they can follow.
That they can trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave a really good example, and there was a tangible one with immigration. Immigration has been a huge topic. Mm-hmm. And I know you were vocal about immigration policies, at least for Riverside County. And then just in this podcast, you mentioned SB 54. Mm-hmm. So can we go there? Can you tell us, how you feel about immigration, SB 54, and what role you as the governor would play in any of that?
Yes. So I will absolutely do everything in my power to get SB 54 repealed. It must be repealed because SB 54, sanctuary state, whatever you want to call it, did absolutely nothing to make you safer, to make the immigrant community safer, to make me as law enforcement safer. Our communities are not made safer by SB 54. The only people that are safer and that were protected by SB 54 are criminals. So if you're from a law enforcement world, a local law enforcement world, immigration is not my job.
Right.
It has never been my job. That is the job and the role of the federal government.
Right.
That's ICE, HSI, Border Patrol, whatever you want to call it. But it is not Riverside Sheriff. It is not San Bernardino Sheriff. our job and our role is to protect our residents from victimization, from either bodily harm or property stealing, whatever the case may be. We are here to protect your body and protect your property.
Right.
And if you have to put everything aside about, they're here illegally, because I don't care. That's not my role. That's the federal government's role, and they should come in and care. But me as the sheriff, me as a deputy, I can't have, and I'll go to a girl again, I can't have a 16-year-old girl afraid to call law enforcement because she was molested or she was raped or she was hurt because she's afraid of getting deported.
Right.
And that's what this does. That's what sanctuary state does. It puts the fear of us into the community. They are afraid of us, and they shouldn't be. And we should not be enforcing immigration laws in our counties, because it is our role to protect you from people that are victimizing you.
Yeah.
So then,
regardless of immigration status.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be immigration status. It's what if you're from Florida? You're not a Californian. You're here on vacation, going to Disneyland, whatever, and you're victimized in Riverside County. You don't vote for me. You're not one of my residents, but I'm going to do everything I possibly can to protect you while you're here.
Yeah.
And that's our role. That's local law enforcement. However, once a person that's here illegally commits a crime, the whole argument that they are here to better their lives, to better the lives of their family, I mean, that's a valid argument.
Yeah.
If we go back far enough, everyone came here from somewhere else. All of us. My great-grandparents on both sides of my family came here from another country. My wife's grandparents came here from another country. They all came here for a better life. They didn't come here to commit crimes. Committing crimes and victimizing the rest of us, if that's your version of making life better for yourself, you can't be here, because we have a civilized society. So those who are here illegally and are committing crimes and end up in our jails, we 100% must be turning them over to ICE, or having ICE come into the jails and get them and then deport them to the country that they came from. It protects our residents, and that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Do you remember the 287G program?
Yes.
So when I was at the Sheriff's Department, I was in public affairs, and I was a liaison for the department, mainly to the Hispanic community. And that was a big thing. That was an Obama policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
A very common sense policy was that local law enforcement does not go out and look for immigration violations. Like you said, not our job, not at all. But if you're brought in on a separate and independent criminal offense that rises even to a certain level, so we're not talking about infractions, and you go in and you're seen to have a criminal background, then yes, they work with ICE.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just an important nuance, because like everything now, people like to take one thing that someone says, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
And twist
you want to repeal SB 54, so I'm going to hurl these things out. You must be anti-immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
You must be, I mean, I don't even want to say the horrible things that people would say, right? But
and
all
they
of
do.
it, racist, this, that, the other, right?
And here's the reality with the whole thing. I, if I was king, I could fix the immigration process in a day. You surround me. Here's the requirement. The table that we surround me with have to actually be adults, capable of making adult decisions, capable of working through problems and fixing problems, and we could solve it in a day. It's not difficult. It really isn't difficult. And I will say that, and I'm going to, they told me to keep this quiet, don't talk about this and everything else, so I'll blurt it out on your podcast.
Perfect.
As the governor of California, the largest state in the country, and more than likely the most people here illegally, just by sheer numbers.
Yeah,
there's no
sheer
one
size.
with 42 million people. We're the biggest state by
Right.
far. So that's going to be, we're probably going to have the most people that are here illegally also. Sooner or later, you got to get over it. They came here for a better life. Most of them have been here 10 years, 15 years. They're working.
Lifetime.
Their kids are productive. They're productive. They're doing something.
Yeah.
So my plan would be to actually work with the president instead of fighting the president. And I guarantee you he would do it. and then him force Congress to do the same thing, criminals have to go. Our border has to be secured. We can't allow access into the state or into the country. So you secure the border. The people who are here, if you're here, we all know you're here illegally. That's a gimme. If you're working towards citizenship, we will offer you a path towards citizenship. If you're going to work in law enforcement, fire, even military. At one point, you could get military. If you went into the military, you're here illegally and went to the military, you could get citizenship through service to the country. They took that away.
That's how my ex-husband got his citizenship.
Nice.
Was serving.
And
yes.
And he should.
Yes.
He should. And so military, law enforcement, fire, construction, hospitality, and agriculture. If you work in any of those industries for a certain period of time, 5 years, 7 years, whatever the case may be, you came here illegally, so you're going to pay a penalty, whether it's $1,000 fine or whatever the case may be. You're not going to get scot-free. It's going to hurt you a little bit. So pay the fine. You've not broken the law for 5 years, 7 years, whatever the case may be. You've worked in these industries that we absolutely need workers in.
Right.
And now you have fast-tracked your route to citizenship. You came here to make a better life for yourself. You've sacrificed, you've worked hard, you've made us better, you've made your community better, and you can find that path to citizenship. Criminal? No. If you're going to commit a crime, you've got to go back. And that's where you take away the SB 54. If you're going to victimize us, go back. And you had your chance. Coming here for a better life means assimilating into a civilized American society and abiding by our laws. And if you're not going to abide by our laws, then you have to go. But otherwise, we should be making it easy to obtain citizenship. I talked with a Canadian lady at one of my fundraisers just last week, and she's crying. I mean, she comes up to me, she's like, I want to talk about immigration. And she's white and she's no accent. She didn't have a Canadian accent. And so I thought it was odd to begin with, but then she tells me she's Canadian, or she's an American now, but it took her 18 years to get citizenship.
Yeah.
And she's crying because she loves America so much, and she always has, and she was always trying to get it, and it was just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock from the government.
Yeah.
And then she finally gets it after that long of time.
Yeah.
And now she sees what's happening in the last 4 years, and she's like, that's wrong. That's wrong. I did it right. I did it the right way. I followed all the rules, and I can't be a citizen, but these people are coming in right now and they can. And she said, you have to give people a path to citizenship. Don't make it take 18 years like it did me. It has to be far less. And I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's always been the argument, right? And then coming from obviously a state that is almost, I think it's at my last count, I think it's 44% Hispanic, or people that identify, as some sort of Latino. I was born in Mexico, there's a lot of immigrants and there's a lot of cops. I want to say, between 20 and 30% of law enforcement are Latino or come from immigrant families. So
that
I'm
are
glad,
first generation Americans that came here from another country
yes,
as a non-citizen.
Yes.
Yeah. This is,
that's exactly, I hate saying he's my ex-husband because we still co-parent and we're really close, but we just happen to not be married. But that's exactly it. His family came here for hardworking business owners, the oldest son, LAPD. He's one of ours, a sergeant here, just a great family. And that path to citizenship, they went to the military and that was their path to citizenship. Mm-hmm. But for the parents, it took so much longer.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody, and I'm not saying this story to talk about me. I think that's a lot of people's story, right? And so when you talk about immigrants, sometimes people think that someone who might be anti-SB 54 is not having the view that you do, which is I recognize the hard work. I recognize the benefit to...
I am 100% pro legal immigration.
Right.
I'm against criminals. And I always will be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, they call you all kinds of things. We get called racist. We get called biased and all of those things, and prejudice and everything else. And sometimes I have to admit, I'm like, well, I may be a little bit prejudiced because I don't like criminals. And I'm never going to like criminals because they're victimizing someone else. So I can't like them. I'm not going to give up my beliefs and say, oh, it's acceptable and poor you and, your circumstances, whatever it is, because we all make that choice to do something illegal or not.
But if there were a reasonable path to do it legally, then people wouldn't feel forced there's nuances there, but people wouldn't have to go the illegal route as much.
And the whole thing for me, and I think that the problem with where we are in politics is nobody's honest. So from my world, we have to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you lie, you die. So you have to tell the truth. So even in this campaign, I mean, a while ago, I was on a stage with somebody else that was completely lying through his teeth. And everyone has to realize we're saying something totally opposite. I'm the only one that has to tell the truth. He doesn't. He didn't have to tell the truth. His life is a lie. I mean, everything he does is dishonest to cover up another dishonest act. But mine, they'll strip away they'll take away my peace officer powers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I can't, they're hoping that I lie. They're hoping I do something bad.
Yeah, so they can. They
make an example out of me.
They got their gotcha moment, right?
Yeah. So we have to be honest and say the reality of immigration is we absolutely must have immigration because our birth rate in the U.S. is not sustaining our workforce and what we need to be productive and to grow the economy. Yeah. So we absolutely need legal immigration, but the government's not doing anything about it. And the reason being is because politicians use immigration as a tool.
Yes.
So they get elected by saying, I'm going to fix immigration and I'm going to do this. Well, it goes back to the homeless thing. If you fix it, then you can never use that crutch again.
Yeah, or you can't use it as a campaign slogan, or you can say, yes. Immigration is one of those things, especially having worked where I did as a sheriff's department, my background, all that stuff. But really it is, especially when you recognize how important and heavy the Latino vote is, that is one of those things where sometimes you have to think that they don't want to fix it because if they fixed it, they couldn't use it for the next campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even just the brutalness of a human being, like DACA is a big deal here. It's like those damn kids did nothing wrong.
Nothing.
They did absolutely nothing. They only know America. They only know American lifestyle. Yeah. They're by all intents and purposes American. But you're going to, for politics, you're going to say that they can never achieve that. It's like there's some we've just seriously we have a history of putting the wrong people in charge, and we need to start picking different. The voting public, we have broken pickers, and we have got to make some repairs and start picking better because you're not picking honest people. You're picking selfish, self-centered, agenda-driven people that don't really care about making things better for everyone. They're trying to monopolize or cannibalize or somehow benefit their personal or political or private agenda and use government to achieve it instead of just do the right thing. Like in our world, it's like, it's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard to not break the law. You just do the right thing. And that's what politics has to be. Just do the right thing. The right thing is to not allow anyone to be sex trafficked, not argue about whether or not that just 15 and below, 16 and above is okay. I mean, it's horrible. Horrible.
Do you think that the voting public is apathetic?
Very much so. I think that apathy is what has truly got us here because it's never affected us. So over the years, I've always heard people say, well, I don't vote. It doesn't affect me. Who's the president doesn't affect me. Who's the governor doesn't affect me. I've got a job. This is all I care about is my family and my job or my business. But all that stuff doesn't concern me, doesn't affect me. Well, the reality is, yes, it does.
Yeah.
And so an apathetic voter, one that either doesn't vote all the time or doesn't know who you're voting for, that's why we're in this position, because you voted for what someone told you, or you voted for what the media said was the most popular, or, I mean, we don't know what the truth is with these polls, but if you see a poll that says 58% of the people are for this person, not this person, you don't want to say, well, I'm going to be for this person.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they must be the better person. And so instead of really looking into it, you're apathetic and you just go with the flow, you go with the program, and then sometimes you don't vote. I mean, I think a lot of times that's what happens with Republicans. we're working and we have families, and voting is tough sometimes. It's hard to leave work. You got to pick up your kids, take them to sports or pick them up from sports or school or whatever the case may be. You still have to feed them. And then when do you fit in voting in there? Yeah. And then the whole mail-in ballots, they'll say, well, mail-in ballots, that takes care of that. You can absentee vote. Well, I still don't have time during the day to research to find out who I'm going to vote for, because my priorities are these other things. And I think it's wrong. I think we're doing it wrong. And I think that people are finally realizing, man, me not voting for the last 20 years has probably had an impact. Or you have to admit, it's like, I voted for that person and I didn't know they did this. Yeah. And Prop 47 is a good example. We voted for Prop 47 because it said safe schools and safe streets. Everyone in their right mind wants safe schools and safe streets. Right. But we were misled and lied to, and we didn't take the time or add the effort to look into that and read it ourselves and see if that's really what it did.
Well, and that's the other part that's hard, is because you probably have to read at least 3 sources on one thing. Yeah. To really come to your baseline of what you believe is rounded out or truth or objective, right? Because there's going to be the things that people see on their feeds that are going to lean this way. It's going to be the, regardless of who's writing them or if it's an actual campaign thing. Yeah. And I know that, it was instilled in me as a very little girl that voting is super important. I've tried to instill it in my kids. But there's an informed voting is important.
Oh, big time.
Look, people can vote uninformed. That's their right. I'm not saying they can't. I just don't think they should. Like if there's something on the ballot for me personally that I really don't know about, I won't vote. Yeah. Not that I'm a not voter, but just because I don't want to vote the wrong way, and because I don't know enough about it.
And it's tough. It's tough. And especially when you have a huge ballot and there's lots of people in there, that's a lot of things to look up. That's a lot of research that you have to do, because sometimes it's impossible. Even in my line of work, I mean, you get 15 judges on that ballot, and it's like, man, I don't know anything about those judges. I absolutely have to spend time because we all vote for judges, and I'll tell the public right now, you're putting the wrong judges in there sometimes. Not all, but there are some very activist liberal judges that should not be deciding law. And that's because we don't take the time to look, and we don't take the time to look into it. And then we have to be, right now we're in an era, in a time of lies and of falsehoods. And I'll get perfect example. And this is what I say to people is, you look at my entire career, you look at the respect that I have from law enforcement, the leader that people tell me I am in across the country in the law enforcement world. It's based on integrity. It's based on my commitment to deputies, my commitment to the public, and it's past actions of all of that. And yet now I have Republicans that are running against me, paying for ads that paint a different picture of me. And it's like, well, do you believe that? Or are you going to look over here and say, man, nothing what he has ever done, that doesn't make sense with what they're saying. So maybe it isn't. Maybe it doesn't make sense because it's not what it's being led to believe. And I think a lot of times in the world that we have, when you have politicians who their campaign is destroying the other person because they can't lift themselves up, then, I mean, if I can't stand up and say my resume, my past, my character is why I am better than everyone else. If I don't have that, then I have to say, oh, all of these people are horrible. Yeah. And vote me, vote me, vote me. Don't look over here. Don't look into my past. Don't do any of this because they're horrible. And I'm just the least horrible. So vote for me. And I think that's where we run into problems with a lot of the elections, because it's just attacks on the other person instead of, this is who I am, this is who I've always been, and this is how I'm going to make us better. And then it's like, I like that guy's character or whatever it is, and then going that direction.
So how do you combat that? Because unfortunately, elections come down to money, right? Yeah. And I know, at least in the public safety thing, when we've gone against Prop 57, I mean, we have been outspent like 1 to 22. And that's not exaggerating.
Yeah.
The Democrats pushed 13 million into that. I think law enforcement as a collective, all of the unions put together, all of them put together barely hit $1 million, right? And that's another irony that people think law enforcement's this big guerrilla, political
because
guerrilla.
they want you to think it is.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm going off on my own tangents, but back to how do you combat that? Because there's going to be a lot of money poured in against you, I can imagine, by the party.
There is, and I mean the thing for me is I'm just a firm believer in the truth, and the truth. As long as you're willing to look for the truth is always there, because from an investigator world, from an interview world, as you're talking with people that are telling you, that are lying to you, there's discrepancies, and there's things that just don't make sense. And when you see those things and when you hear those things, you have to realize you're being lied to. And as good people, we want to assume that people are being truthful, but the reality of politics is they're not. So this is going to be a very negative campaign. Yeah. It has to be. Yeah. Because I truly do. And even in the political world, me deciding this, it's the political establishment, the strategists and those type of people, knowing where we are as a state in public safety, knowing how bad things are getting, modeling it a little bit after Nevada, who in their last governor election was they were having the same problems as us crime-wise. And they ran a popular sheriff, Republican, against a popular Democrat incumbent, and the law and order, integrity-driven, proven leader won. And now their state is far better off. He's made some amazing changes in the state, and the whole state knows that they voted for the right person. But they liked their governor before too. Yeah. But it was just that different. It's just a different time.
Is Nevada as unbalanced as we are, though?
No. Only government. I honestly think that
the people,
population, were the same. Yeah. Demographics are the same. Our government got way lopsided. So their government is not as lopsided as ours, but we're far worse than that. But I think that we're just in a different time. So for me to stand up and say, this is what I have to offer. I have 32 years of service, integrity, honesty, doing it for other people. I have 6 years, it'll be 7 at the time of the election, as an elected official, huge county, huge budget. There's no negative here. And so you have that to look forward to, or you have all of this. And I truly do feel it's the only reason I'm doing it is because I think we're at a perfect time to change direction of the state away from this Democrat-led, Democrat or nothing, everybody votes D. I think even the Democrats are like, yeah, we're not going over there. We've ruined it. We got to go back. Even if it's for one election, even if they only vote for me once, I think the majority of people are like, yeah, we need something different, and give him a try. I mean, maybe I'll make the wrong decision, but give him a try and see what happens. And that's where I am. But Democrats know that, and so do the Republicans. Yeah. So all of those attacks from both sides are going to come at me because I'm the front runner. And so they have to, because there's not one single Democrat that's going to stand up and say, look at all the good that I've done in my past that have put us on this great trajectory in California. The honesty part of it, my campaign, is they're all going to have to own it. I'm going to make them talk about decades of their failures, of a failed agenda. And then on the Republican side, I'm not going to attack anybody else. I'm just going to say, none of them have the resume that I have to lead you down this path of success, of working together. Like, the last person to get in, it's just another celebrity. I mean, he's a celebrity Fox News commentator he's just appealing to the far right, and he knows it now. So now he's trying to work into the middle, but it's just not going to work. He doesn't have the ability to win both sides. He may win a bunch of the far right, but he doesn't have the history that I have. So he can't say, look at my past and I'm a better choice than Chad, because his past shows that we don't really know that. And so let's go with the person that we know and that makes me the front runner. So the money is going to be huge because that money is what pays for the negative campaigning and the negative commercials and the smear campaign. And then at the same time, it's also, I mean, I need money to promote myself too.
Yeah.
So it's
I think the last time I looked, a successful statewide campaign to really win it's well over 100 million.
Yeah.
And in some of the more contested ones, it's like been 224, 225.
Yeah. And the bad part of it is there's two different things. You've got my campaign, and we're hoping for by November of next year, we really want between 35 and 50 million. But we also know, or that we're hoping, that the groups that want change, the big PACs, the ones that have that don't fall into my campaign, that are still going to campaign for me maybe, or anti somebody else, that's gonna be the 100 million, the 150 million on top of my 50 million.
Yeah.
So it's a major issue. But I look at it like this, and because someone else will say you can't do it. And it's like, well, you technically can, because I really want 10 million people to vote for me. And that would be the largest vote ever in the history of California. Newsom won last election with 7.5 million. I want 10 million. If all 10 million people that voted for me didn't go to Starbucks for the day and just gave me $5, donate $5 to the campaign times the 10 million people, not only are they going to make sure they vote for me now, they're going to make sure they convince their friends to vote for me because they're monetarily invested. And now I have $50 million in a campaign account that we can do a lot with that. I mean, that's a massive campaign account, and it's doable as long as, I mean, if you can make a $5 investment into making California better, give it to my campaign, we can do this hands down.
I think it's so funny because I didn't, here at SEBA, I didn't get involved in Sacramento politics, and I always thought I was an informed voter. I always thought I was.
Yeah.
And Sacramento's a whole nother world, right?
Yeah.
But you get so ingrained into the world of politics, right? And you start to look at things like, well, who's a winner and who can win, who can raise enough money, who's got the right. And sometimes you just think about it and you think, okay, we want to know that we are playing the game to affect the best outcomes for our membership, right? So that we don't want to slam doors on people who we might need to vote for a bill, that kind of stuff. But then, especially being in law enforcement, the core of you says, do the right thing. Right? And I'm not saying we're not doing the right thing. It's just they seem to be diametrically opposed. And it's even as much, sorry, and I'm rambling here a little bit, but I think when I hear you say there's like, it's so great to believe or have hope that just normal people can make a comeback. Mm-hmm. Because knowing how politics is and being so engulfed in it from the inside and being up in Sacramento, you see very clearly it's not about the people. It's about whoever can spend the most money, get the best lobbyist, and affect more power.
Yeah.
If the people could have that groundswell of support, that would just be amazing just for the state of democracy.
Yeah, big time. Because we're ruining democracy. We're being misled. We're being lied to, and our even the term. I mean, they use it in a negative way, or save democracy. For anyone to actually say the words that Trump is going to destroy democracy, and actually believe it. I mean, nobody believes it when they say it. They're trying to get you to believe it when you hear it because they repeat it over and over. It's just it's horrible.
I think some people believe it, but it's I don't know. It's one of those catchphrases again that's just thrown out there.
Yeah, and the whole pick the person that can win, and you're afraid because you still have to. If you lose, you still have to. And I think that'll be another something that people are just going to have to find out after they vote me in and see the character and the type of person I am. Because even in my election here, there were employees that jumped on the winning side, what they thought was going to be the winning side, and they did everything they possibly could to campaign for a failed sheriff because nobody believed I could win. Yeah. Nobody. I mean, you don't. Yeah,
it was unprecedented what you did.
You don't beat an incumbent.
Yeah.
And everyone knew after the first time, they knew how bad it was going to be for me or for anybody that supported me on the second time. And as soon as I was elected, I mean, those people got promoted. I mean, not all of them, but there were people that were, I don't want to say brutal to me or my wife or anything like that, but they certainly talked crap about me. And they were 100% sucking up to the old sheriff thinking, I'm going to get promoted out of this or something because I'm helping on the campaign. I didn't hold that against anybody. If you were capable of being promoted, you got promoted. And if you were the best person to get promoted, you got promoted. Whether you were wrong in that election or not, you still were the best person for this spot that we had open. And that took a lot of people by surprise in our organization, even my friends.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean you're promoting him or her? It's like,
They were against you.
Yeah, you know what she said, right? You know what he did. I'm like, oh, but they're the best person for this job right now.
Yeah, for this organization, not for your election.
Yeah. And that's what it'll be like in Sacramento. I absolutely know that there will be an organization or, I'll even get more personal. I would be willing to bet that probably 80 to 90% of teachers in the state will vote for me and their union will not. The teachers union will support a Democrat.
Oh yeah. It would it would be snowing in hell if CTA supported a Republican.
And so once I get into Sacramento, I could either say, screw CTA, you're getting absolutely nothing because you're the evil politics and everything else, which unfortunately Democrats do that. Mm-hmm. But I can't do it.
Right?
Yeah. It's like I can't do it. If something is going to be best for our teachers, then I have to be for that. May not be best for that group of people that made that decision or that one person that made that decision, but we have to do something for 90% of the teachers and our schools, then that has to be done. I can't punish the teachers because the union did something or their leadership did something.
Right.
So, and that's what people are going to find out. It's like, oh, we have to, I mean, there's a law enforcement entity right now that is going to dual endorse because they're weak. They know what is right. They know what the right thing to do is. But they're playing politics because they're afraid that if they're wrong, they have to have somebody on the other side.
Dual endorse in your race?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't even want you to say the name.
They know who they are.
I'm sure they do.
I've told them, and we have to get to it. It's like we need to stop. Life is not about politics. Life is about doing the right thing for the right reasons. And in politics, it's for the right people. You're either doing it for special interests or you're doing it for Californians. If you're doing it for special interests, then go on about your way and do whatever it is you're going to do. But know that you're failing, especially in the public safety world. You're failing the people that you're supposed to be protecting or serving. And it's unfortunate. I wish it wasn't like that. And the funny thing is after I win, I'm not going to punish them for it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against them and say, no, you're getting nothing, and I'm going to screw all your members and everything else. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's called character. And I think in the end, I know that's I won't change. I won't bend. I'm not going to be all of a sudden become politically correct. It's if you want honesty, integrity, and character, and that's what you want for our government, then I honestly think just to look at all the names and the resumes, and I'm the only one that fits that bill. But if you want special interest or if you want something bright and shiny, I guess that's the only other way to say it, then
so let's say to the California resident in like Redwood City or Santa Cruz or I don't know, let's even say Berkeley or, because I think, here I go on tangents again. So my point of the question is basically like to the people who are outside of the Inland Empire that have probably heard of you, but it's snippets or it's a social media reel or maybe it's yours or maybe it's the news or somebody else. How do they get to know who you are? Yeah.
So that's a good question. And so that whole thing of this whole campaign is I have a year and 2 months to convince people who I am, or at least enough to get to the top two to go to November. And then it'll be much easier in that 6 months when there's only two of us. But that has to be my goal, is to get in front of as many people as I possibly can. Let them see that I truly, everyone says they like him and they say he's just a normal guy that does the right thing. If they listen to me for a while, then they know that's true. If you're going to be open-minded, I think that, if we all had to sit and listen to an hour-long campaign video of each person that we have a choice, I think it'd be easy. I think I could sell myself easy in an hour. Problem is getting in front of 10 million people.
Yeah, and then combating how people are gonna
the negative
paint you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
And if it was worth it, or I don't even know how that goes, nothing worth it is easy.
Correct.
So I know it's going to be ugly. I know it's an uphill battle, and I know it's going to be a big fight, but in the end, it's going to be worth it. And it'll be worth it for everyone else, not for me. I mean, it's a huge pay cut for me. And it's at a time when you're supposed to be retiring that you shouldn't be taking pay cuts.
Yeah, this is your second thwarted retirement plan already.
Yes,
you're doing it wrong.
Yes, it is.
This isn't how you retire.
I know. Denise told me that already, and she just told me too late. Yeah, so it's I just want to be able to make things better for everyone else, and in the end, honestly, that's just what makes me happy. And I can either be retired, happy, hunting and fishing and hiking and exploring what this country has to offer, or I can stay happy making other people better or making their lives better. Or what is really even better to me, and what I believe is the success in RSO, is just allowing everybody else to make everything better. It's like, it doesn't have to be me, and it's not all me in RSO. It's just I enabled everybody else. I wasn't afraid of somebody getting credit for something. Yeah. So it's like, if you've got a great idea, let's do it. And if you're capable of doing it, then go do it. Go make it happen. And that was something for us that never happened before. That didn't exist in our organization. And I'm not going to change. When I get to the state level, it won't be me running everything. It's going to be my direction, my agenda, and then putting the right people in place to say, hey, you can do it. Now just go do it. Just go make it happen. Let's make it better for everyone. And it's, we've never elected off of school. I mean, we're not electing rocket scientists to run.
Yeah, like educational, check the box.
Yeah. It's like, you don't need a certain degree. You don't need, you just need to care about other people, and you need to be a person of integrity. And that's been void from politics for a while. And I'm hoping that people have just had enough, and that throughout this process, they absolutely see it's like, hey, why would he give up something that's better? I mean, I'm giving up something better to be the governor.
Yes.
And as much as that may sound funny to people, my job is better. It's a much better job, and it pays a lot more than going to running the state and doing something stressful and bigger and more headaches. And with the politics, it's more ugly. And
it is.
It's maybe I need to question my own sanity.
I know. I'm like,
now that I'm saying it out loud.
This is the announcement. He's actually dropping out of the race, guys. He's just not going to run now. Not at all. I think, voters just absolutely need to be informed. And when we were talking about apathy, and I kind of talked about it way at the beginning of the podcast, and I said I didn't want to get too much into the law enforcement thing, but I think there was one of the most impactful things I've ever heard you speak was at Law Enforcement Memorial, the ceremony. You were the keynote speaker. You just had 2 deputies killed within 3 weeks of each other. And, man, it wasn't, there were policy things thrown in there, but it was not political. It was just pure passion. And ironically, the people who you were, I think, mainly talking to happened to be on the stage next to you, because it was the attorney general and the governor, who, despite the fact that both of them have been against law enforcement for years, law enforcement, still being the better people, gives them their respect and lets them be on our stage honoring our fallen, even though they have no respect for our profession.
Yeah.
That's, I could go down a rabbit hole. But it goes back to the passion and then and then voter apathy. So I feel like if any voter thinks that they're apathetic, one, educate themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two, look for the passion. And if passion means anything to them, I would challenge voters to just look beyond campaign slogans, both pro and against, and, do some Google searches and look for the things that aren't being taken out of context or whatever. That speech, it gave us all chills. You got a standing ovation. I was actually sitting in there, but I could feel the standing ovation from all the way behind the risers to the Capitol. Where does that come from, that passion?
I don't know. I think it's probably, I kind of mentioned it earlier, just the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Or the better question might be, with those two, the governor and the AG sitting there, how was that decision to just say what you were going to say regardless?
Well, I've been like that my whole life. I think I was probably, I was encouraged to do that by my parents. The whole standing up for people, that was always, like even fighting as a kid. I mean, it was okay if you were fighting at school and got in trouble at school if you were fighting for someone else. You stick up for people that can't stick up for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think at that time and what we were going through and just the devastation that we had and to get it even and more personal for me, and there was some anger in there. In order to have passion, you've got to have drive. You've got to have maybe a little bit of anger. There's all kinds of emotions that are all moving toward that passion drive towards something. And with their two murders and how both of them came about, their suspects being criminals, and knowing how anti-law enforcement our attorney general and our governor were, and then
are sorry,
and them trying to come to the funeral and get in the limelight, and not asking if they could come honor the family. It's they want a picture of them giving a flag or something like that. And I'm glad that those things were done over the phone, because if that would have been in person to me, that would invoke violence, because that is absolutely disgusting. And so then going to that speech, I have two families that had just gone through that. And for me, I mean, and people are, sometimes I see when I explain this that some agree and some say, yeah, I can see how that's happening. And other people are like, that's not the same. But I truly did feel like they were my kids.
Yeah.
I was responsible for them. And the one in particular, we had only hired him a year before, and he had his whole family there, and his mom, right after the swearing in, came up and gave me a hug and said how proud he was to work for us. And she said, "You better take care of my baby." And I said, "I will." And she said, "Promise me."
Calhoun.
Yeah. And I did. I promised her. And while we were in the hospital, while they were working on him, she was there and she said, "You promised me."
Oh.
So all of that went into that day.
Yeah.
And so I knew they were going to be there. And at the same time,
Well,
I will admit that wasn't my final speech. That wasn't my first speech. That was the final version. Because my first one was brutal. I mean,
Worse.
It was, oh yes. Oh yeah. And I do that a lot. And my wife saves me a lot. I don't ever write anything. If I do write a speech, I don't write it and then I go over it and I make sure that it's okay.
How does it land here? And,
Yeah.
and she's amazing.
Because I know she is. But that speech was brutal. That was brutally honest And it wasn't, and even when she told me, she's like, you can't say that. I'm like, oh, yes, I can. That's what I'm saying. But there was nothing in that wasn't the truth. And I think at the time, that whole thing about doing something for someone else, it was for them and their families.
Yeah.
I was saying that for not only my 2 deputies and their families, but the rest of those families that lost that year that were there for that. And we know we're not supported. Those families know we're not supported. And then to get the phoniness and the political aspect of it, that's what brought that on. And honestly, when they asked me to do it, I didn't want to. Because I wasn't dealing with it well. I mean, we had, in between that, there was another death. I mean, not only that, we lost a dog. I mean, that's bad enough. One of our dogs were killed on an operation, and then a traffic accident of a deputy. So we have 3 deaths and a dog. And they asked me if I wanted to give a speech at the memorial. I'm like, no, I'm memorialed out. I was so emotionally drained. And I think as you get older, you get more emotional anyway. But I mean, I cry at a commercial now. I mean, there are far too many emotions going on in me that make it more personal, because that was difficult. That was difficult. And after that whole thing, and it was in Washington, this is a little private. I've told a few people this, but I seriously had an emotional breakdown. Yeah. And it's never happened before. I don't even know what it was. And now I'm just calling it that, but I was detached. I didn't hear my wife as she's talking to me, and I didn't know what I was doing. We were in Washington, D.C. at the memorial. Yeah. And eventually after several minutes, then that I finally come to, that she's panicking because I'm absent. I was gone. I mean, I wasn't listening to her, and I wasn't making there. I have nothing. I had no idea what was going on, but I knew I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't put my socks on. That's what I was trying to do, is put socks on. I couldn't put my socks on. And then it just went sideways, and I was done. I was emotionally taxed out. Yeah. And all we did is we walked around Washington the entire day. That's all we did, is walk for miles and miles and miles. And at the end of the day, I was better, and everything was all fine. And whatever it was, I mean, I talked to her and we worked it all out. Yeah. And then it was, you have to give the speech, and you have to be the guy and it was a lot. Yeah. So I'm very happy that it was me that was able to do it, because I think the strength before I broke down, I gave the speech before I broke down, and it was for them. It was for their parents. It was for Darnell's wife and kids. And somebody has to stick up for these people. Somebody has to do the right thing. And no different than victims of crime. Somebody has to stick up for these victims of crime while these lawmakers are protecting criminals. And I think it was just born or bred into me that's where I get joy from, is helping somebody else. And whether it's a speech, or whether it's chasing somebody or fighting a criminal, whatever the case may be, that's my satisfaction in life, is helping somebody else. And with this, I know it's going to be ugly. I know it's going to be a pain, but it's going to be on a bigger schedule, or I mean, a bigger stage, where there'll be 40 million people that thank me for something silly, but it was huge to them. Yeah. To me, it's like, oh, really? But to them, it was their life. I mean, you go back to COVID. I mean, there are so many people that like, even now, it was at Stagecoach. A lady at Stagecoach comes up to me and she hugs me, and she's crying. And she said, "You're the only reason why we're still here and our business is still open, because we didn't close during COVID." And that's her entire life. Yeah. And to me, that was just, hey, I'm not doing this. This is the wrong thing to do. But for her, that was enormous. That was huge. And it's just, somebody's got to do it. So it might as well be me.
You could put that at the bottom, right? Too.
That's a good one.
Somebody's got to do this. Might as well be me.
Man,
I feel like I could talk to you forever, and I probably already have. I have no idea what time it is. Chris is probably thinking that I need to wrap this up. But what is one message that, through this whole conversation and through your communication, what is one message, if you could only leave one, that you want to leave with people?
I think that our country is broken because of political identity politics and identity politics. And I've said for years that we will never fix our politics until we stop voting DNR. And I believe I'm going to be the only option for that at this time. There may be a million people out there that are just as capable or more capable than me, but I'm the one in the position now. And I'm the one that either forced or that fell into it or whatever, however you want to look at it. But I do have that to offer. This is not going to be about Republicans, and it's not going to be about Democrats. It's going to be about Californians and how do we make California better for Californians instead of special interests, instead of politics, instead of political party or your ideological beliefs. It's what is better for this state. And not only the past, if you want to call it a resume if you want, but just who I am as a person, that I really am going to be our only hope for this. And the only thing I can say is, you've got to take my word for it. I mean, in a world where we don't trust politicians, I don't want to be a politician. Yeah. I want to be the lawman, the man of integrity, the man of character. I'm doing it because I don't want to embarrass my dad. I don't want to embarrass my kids. I don't want my kids to say, "You're a hypocrite. You told us to be honest. You told us to always do the right thing. You told us to, stand up for what you believe in, stand up for the right thing, and you didn't do it." I can't allow that to happen. So I have to do that. I have to show them that I'm going to do exactly what I told you have to do. And the same part with my dad. That's what he told me to do. I mean, I watched him do that his whole life. And I mean, he almost lost his life for doing the right thing because people didn't want him doing that. And they almost took him out. I mean, we didn't think he was going to make it. But I know he was doing the right thing for the right reasons for other people. And it's no different for me. And I think it was just I was made for this. I mean, if you're a believer, you believe that you have certain things. I think selfishly, right. I think selfishly, I thought it was to be sheriff. And it's like, oh, look, everything worked because I was supposed to be the sheriff. And then it's like, silly little me. I was only the sheriff because this is what I was supposed to do. And I can only promise people that what you see is what you get. And I'm going to give you everything I got.
Well, like you said, nothing worth it is ever easy. And we definitely applaud you for never taking the easy way out.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here and, having this conversation.
Absolutely. This was great.